Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. What's the power situation like in your area? I mean, are you watching this with your generator or is it with the public power supply? Of course, you know where I'm going. It's been an issue in recent times. We would have thought that by now things would have been a lot better than they actually are. But, well, the technical people tell us that for various reasons, we're not quite there yet, even as work is continuing and they're working round the clock and all of that. Well, I have someone who can explain it a bit to us this morning. High Chief Sunday Odunto, Executive Director, Research and Advocacy, and he's of the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors. He's the spokesman for all the discos. Sunday, it's great to have you.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Now, explain it to us because it looks like if we even go back to the very beginning, that is, go back to 2015 and say, here we are now, there are those who will say, I'm sorry, I haven't seen much of a difference. It doesn't matter what the ministers say. It doesn't matter what the PR machines say. I haven't seen much of a difference. Maybe we're unfairly comparing ourselves with Ghana, for example. But tell us, Sunday, what's the problem?
Okay. First of all, in terms of whether you can notice an improvement in your power supply or not, the quality, the quantum, like the number of hours for which you can have electricity, depends largely on where you live.
Okay.
It is location-based because in some locations, they have more supply than other locations. Not that it was done like that deliberately, the way Nigeria was wired all along.
So you might actually
Since the
be
days
living
of
in an
NEPA.
unlucky, quote-unquote, unlucky area.
Oh, yes.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yes. And some people think there's more electricity in the highbrow areas. And I've given a few examples. If you go to Kano, there's an area called Bompai. Bompai in Kano is highbrow, rich people area. But behind Bompai, there's a rail line. Behind that rail line, there are some villages. They have a kind of supply we call 33 kV. And in that location, those villagers have more light, and these guys pay anything between 500 naira and 2,000 naira. They don't even pay their bills. The guys, the rich men in Bompai are ready to pay. Most of them are metered, yet they don't have it. Let's come home near here.
Yeah.
In Ogun State, there's a place called Akpom Village. There's a place called Obadaoko. These are along the Lagos-Abeokuta road. Before you get to Abeokuta, after Iwekoro. These two places that I mentioned, they have more light than the Iba GRA in Abeokuta. It is because of their location. So we have that.
Just, I don't want you to get too technical about it, but how does the location thing affect? You're making it, well, I'm getting the sense that it's a bit like a water pipe, and like the closest to the source, if there was a hole in there, it'll be quite strong. And the further you go down the line, the holes.
That explains it.
It is something like that.
Yes,
there's a drop and a sort of wastage as we go along.
If you live along the corridor, certain corridors where certain type of supply are located. For instance, those who are we have two types basically. There's one they call 33 kV and then 11. What happens is that when they step down 330 kV down to 33, the power goes through that corridor. It's like the sitting room of the house. As a layman, as a lawyer, maybe I can explain like that. If you enter a house, in that house, the first place you see is a sitting room before you go into the rooms. If you are bringing food, there are people in the sitting room and there are people in the bedroom. The first to eat will be those who are in the sitting room. By the time you get to the bedroom, depending on how long the corridor is.
Okay.
So something like that. But that is one. Number two, don't let us deceive ourselves. You can't be comparing Nigeria with Ghana. We have missed it a long time ago. And this is something that people don't like to talk about, especially those who are in government, various government. Since 1960, when people are in government, even when they fail, they will not admit it. When they leave government, they will suffer the same fate. What they failed to take care of, they now be a victim because they will not have light in their own home. The truth is that Nigerian population had gone up. And what we are producing, in this case we call it generation, what we are generating is far too low compared with the number of people in this country.
It's like, if you were to try and put it together,
Yes.
what we're generating today would probably fit what volume of population?
Well, on the 7th of February 2019, we generated the highest ever. And when I say generated, I'm not talking about potential. You will hear some powerful people talking about Nigeria is capable of doing 10,000 megawatts, 8,000 megawatts.
Yeah.
Those ones are
Which
capacity.
we've never hit, by the way. We've never hit 10,000.
Those ones are the capacity, the potential, what is there. But when you have gas constraint, you can't get it.
Yeah.
When you have other constraint, you can't get it. When you have inability of the transporter, which is called TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, to wield the power, you can't get. And I'll give just 3 examples. Because those who say...
whereas I appreciate your as you're explaining it, they refer to our figure now as 200 million people.
Yes.
And we're saying that the capacity, the potential is far below what our requirements are. So I'm asking you, as an informed person in this sector,
yes,
that this capacity would fit what? 80 million, 100 million?
No, what you need to understand is the rule of thumb. Globally, you should generate 1,000 megawatts per 1 million populace. So if you have 200 million people in a country, you have 200,000 megawatts.
Okay.
And we have...
the potential we have, never mind actuality, the potential is...
Less than 10.
Less than 10. Okay, now I understand.
They can call it 12.
Okay. Now
but we have less than 15.
Now, the other part of it, and oh, by the way, why I'm seeming to rush along like this is that at the top of the hour, around that area, as you know, we'll go over to Abuja for the ongoing screening exercise. But we will continue in studio to have this conversation, even if we do cut over to Abuja, so that when the rebroadcast comes at 12 midnight, it'll be the full program. But we just might be going anytime we know that they're ready in Abuja, we'll cut over. Sorry for that.
Yes. What we need to understand is this. One is population has a lot to do with the level of power supply that you need to provide for the country. And what has happened since 1960 to date is that government after government after government, so many of them, not enough efforts were made. The real effort, something near it, started around 2001 during the admission of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And the first enabling law in the sector came out in 2005 that established the regulator, which should have been there years back. But it was a monopoly, it was a government-owned corporation, that's why. But when they were planning to unbundle, to privatize, they went through that journey. So the current reform process is a journey.
Okay.
And it's a very long journey, so it will take a long time. But I'm saying that since 2013, when we came on board, to date, there have been some improvements. And I'll start with this.
Okay.
On the 7th of February 2016, which is this current government, they came on board in 2015. By the 7th of February 2016, Nigeria generated the highest ever, which was 5,074 megawatts. But Nigerians also need to know that the government corporation, because the Transmission Company of Nigeria is 100% owned by the government, that transporter was only able to wield 4,557 megawatts out of that 5,074 that was produced.
Just
so for us as distributors,
yes,
we can only distribute what has been willed to us. So now, people need to understand that.
Yes, and what people also need to understand as they're listening, it's all right for everybody who's involved in it, but it's 3 components. There's the generation, there's the transmission, and then there's the distribution.
It's a value chain.
It's a value chain.
The failure of one will affect the other.
It will.
The success of one will go on to possibly affect the other.
So when they say the distribution end of the chain is letting us down, in fact, when we were looking at the matter of ministers being appointed, somebody called in and said, actually, he wouldn't mind if they would take, the power part of Minister Fashola's portfolio and give it to someone else who could maybe better stand up to these guys in the distribution, because the person who called him believed that the minister is being too soft with you guys, letting you get away with murder.
I think the last part of that sentence was made either out of ignorance, so the person to be educated, or out of mischief, if the person is educated enough to understand it. The minister has never been soft. We even had a lot of issues with him. And let me tell you this, all of us need to love Nigeria. I'm yet to see many patriotic Nigerians, really patriotic, truly patriotic Nigerians.
But if people criticize Nigeria, they then begin to say they're not patriotic because they're criticizing.
You know why I'm saying this?
Yes.
If you take your money, Egmont, $1.4 billion was spent by these Nigerians to buy the discos.
Okay.
Well, if today they are seen as being foolish to have invested their money in Nigeria, well, very sad. But whoever took that kind of money to buy this entity
Yes.
will want it to work. Why? The purpose of doing business is cost recovery. You want to recover your costs. So if you don't run the business well, you won't get your money. Up to now, no disco has ever made profit. And the government knows that, the regulators know that, the then
And
ministers,
it's not because of
all
their
the
own
ministers
inefficiencies.
know
It's
that.
not because of their
No,
own inefficiencies.
the discos are not very efficient. But efficiency is linked to pricing of a product. The yalakara that sells akara, the level of efficiency of that yalakara or yauni breadi, yamulika that sells bread. If yamulika buys bread from the bakery at 80 naira, and the governor of Lagos State said, yamulika, you must be selling this bread at 50 naira, then there is a shortfall of 30 naira. And if the governor is not, or the government of Lagos State who says sell at 50 instead of the 80 naira or just a little over 80 naira that you bought it, if there's nothing to fill that gap, that shortfall, very soon Yamulika will be selling you bread without nylon. Very soon you will not even see bread because the business will collapse. It's a simple arithmetic. You don't have to be an engineer. What I'm saying is that the discos that are today,
Yes.
the cost to us, there's a way you calculate this thing. National average is about 89, 88 kobo. The selling price, it varies, but the average, national for the 11 discos that I represent, is about 31 naira 56 kobo.
Okay.
If you are buying something at 80 and you are selling at 31, nobody should expect you to be efficient. Efficiency is linked to price. This is not rocket science. That's number one.
You don't agree, therefore, with a concept that I have heard, which is that the discos, they don't even have capacity, because of the way we do our business in Nigeria.
That is what I call the ignorance of some Nigerians.
They went and were doing it among their paddies, and so these guys don't have capacity and are now failing in performance.
Well, one thing I want to say is that I do sympathize with Nigerians, and that's why when I go out like this, I always start by apologizing to Nigerians because they do not deserve all this epileptic power supply. So a frustrated person, we need to just look for an excuse. And the only excuse is the person you can grab. You don't know the generation company. Do you know them? You don't know them. You don't know the transmission company from Nigeria, the people there. You don't know them.
Closest to
you only know us. We are the one that collect money from you. We are the one that come and disconnect you. Sometimes we are so bad in the way we do it. Our customer service can be a bit funny, we don't respond on time in some cases, but we're a lot better than we were 5 years ago. Okay. And I'm saying there has been a lot of improvement. Even here in Keja, this area, I know some areas around Towing Street there, they don't have less than 16 hours of supply. That's what you find. But in some cases, it can be as low as 4 hours or 2, depending on where you live. Again, we have a very dilapidated infrastructure. From generation to transmission to distribution. It's a value chain. This sort of industry requires a lot of investment. But this is my own advice. Number one, any government must promote enabling environment for investment. How do you do that? There's a need for us to respect the sanctity of contract. When you sign contract with investors, don't go back on that contract. In the case of the discos, they went back on the contract they signed in 2013.
How?
They signed the dotted line on how this thing will proceed. Part of what was included was that from day one, which was November 1, 2013, we will allow you to charge the appropriate price of this product.
Okay.
Last minute, no, we cannot do it. We don't want Nigerians to be angry. Well, you can do like Egypt,
you were going to go with market price.
Senegal.
You were going to go with market price.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But you can do, the government could have done what was done in South Africa before and in Egypt. What is it? If you know that you don't want to pass on the real cost to your people or to certain classes of people, then you can subsidize it for them. You can even do subsidy from the gas supply end at the top. You know, Nigeria has majorly 2 mix of energy. Hydro, which is just Kainji, Shiro, and Jeba. And largely gas-fired thermal station. The largest in West Africa being the Egme. Here in Lagos State, in Ikorodu. We are here to do appreciable solar. We are here to do waste to power. That's part of the problem. We need to do mix of all of this, but I know that the current government, they started and they're making effort, and it will take time for those things to happen. But I'm saying that for 200 million people, 5,000 megawatts, 6,000, even 8,000 megawatts is too low. That's
And
number one.
even at that,
Yes.
thank you for explaining it like that. Even at that, we don't have all the what is it now? The arrangements in order. I'm talking about metering now. How are you going to collect?
Oh.
How are you going to collect when you haven't even supplied me with a meter? And then you now come with crazy bills of crazy estimated bills. So isn't there a problem there? The discos are not as efficient as they need to be, and I know you're going to say that it's not all their own fault. You're going to say that.
I'm not going to talk about whether it's their own fault or not. I'm just going to say that
Metering.
anybody who did arithmetic in primary school does not need to do mathematics in secondary school to understand when I'm talking about cost recovery, when I'm talking about the link between efficiency and pricing, when I'm talking about investment and pricing. What I'm saying is this. Metering is as important to us as it is to our customers. Okay. Why? Meters are instruments of measurement. If I give you a meter and we're able to measure what you use, there will be less argument. There are a lot of argument on crazy bills. Some bills are crazy, some are not crazy. So many of them are not even crazy.
Okay.
But the answer to it is metering. But I'm happy to say to Nigerians that we've gone past that now. Where we are now, we have MAP, which is an initiative of the federal government through our regulator, Meter Asset Provider. And we're still doing our own rollout, but MAP now is taking care of bridging the metering gap. But people need to understand that when we came on board, we met a metering gap of over 5 million households that were not metered. So it takes time for all of these things to happen, and it costs a lot. But now that we have MAP,
and
people
by the
can
way,
just go
they're not supposed to pay for it.
Online. No, they are going to pay for it now. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure Nigerians
People are
don't mind
supposed to
paying.
Okay. I
As
thought
long
people
as they
weren't
get
supposed to pay for it, or
Yes.
if they do pay for it, it's like a loan, and that it will be offset by the power that they consume.
I'm sure you are talking about CAPME. That was the previous policy by the last regulator. But that was single-handedly cancelled by the Federal Ministry of Power.
I see.
And now they brought in another one. This one that they brought in, the MAP providers are external contractors, external meter providers. But we work with them, we work under that scheme because our own ICT has to be able to speak to that for them to meter our customer. But it's a joint effort, and we're doing that. So the point I'm making is that gradually, as MAP is now kicking in all over the country, people will see a lot of effort. Ikeja Disco, where we are now, they have started. Towards the Ikorodu side, you see quite a lot of people now being metered. Give us a bit more time, you will see this thing all over.
But
so metering is important, like I said earlier on, but that one is now being taken care of. But that is not the problem. The problem is that there's a need for alignment of the value chain. We need to align it. When you generate 10,000, you must be able to transmit, will that 10,000, and you must be able to distribute that 10,000. That's what is called alignment. If, as we know today, generation companies have the capacity to generate more than 8,000 megawatts. That's 8 at the top. In the middle, the transmission company of Nigeria cannot transmit more than 5,000. They have never transmitted 5,000 anyway. They have only done 4,303, well, 4,557 was the highest they ever did. So when you generate 8,000 and the person who is to wheel it, the transporter, is only able to wheel 4,000. And for distribution, the distribution capacity as of today is 6,288 megawatts. And I hope somebody can write that down. 6,288 megawatts. Nigeria has never brought power to us up to 6,000 megawatts. Never. So when people talk and say the discos are this, discos are that, I'm not saying the discos are perfect. I've said that earlier. We are not efficient enough. We're working very hard to ensure that we improve our efficiency. But we have never been given that quantum of electricity that fits in with our own capacity. So we have never failed Nigeria in terms of capacity. Those who don't understand it can contact us. We can send them all the details. They can check this from NEC, our regulator. So they will get all the facts.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that Transmission Company of Nigeria is a major problem. And it's owned 100% by federal government. And I'm aware that current government is doing a lot of things to put investment into that particular company, because unless and until we have some things in place, we are just deceiving ourselves. For instance, the Nigerian transmission grid is radial in nature. What it means that it goes straight like this. Any problem on the right or left, it cannot solve it. That's why what they engage in is load dumping. And they lie to Nigerians, they talk about load rejection. If I'm selling a product that is not available, the little you give me, will I reject it? I'm not mad now. I need to make money. I will not reject load, but what you do is that you dump load without my consent, without my knowledge, and you go and dump it in the backside, not where I need it. So that's the problem that we have. It's just like a plane that needs to make an emergency landing.
Okay.
And they need to dump some fuel in the atmosphere. That's what they do.
Okay.
They do load dumping
to
stabilize the grid.
I hear what you're saying, and just to say that, as I said at the top of the program, we're going to cross over to Abuja as the screening of ministers continues. But we will keep on with the program here. Call in if you want, if you would like to. We will have those questions answered, and all of it, the full program, can then be heard in its repeat broadcast at 12 midnight later on today. Okay, thank you for that. So, continuing on this matter, I hear what you're saying. I understand the explanation. But there's also something that I didn't know before, what you've just said, that there are people that will be, their own areas will be in an unfortunate part of the whole chain.
Yes.
And I don't know, is that a peculiarly Nigerian thing?
It's a Nigerian thing.
It's a Nigerian thing. So, lack of planning and all.
Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm from Abeokuta, so I'll give you an example of my town.
Sure.
When they brought light to Abeokuta, the major transmission station in Abeokuta is in a place called Ojere. Now, Ojere is in one end of the town. When they now wanted to do another booster station, they put it somewhere along the way to Kobakwe, which is not far from Ojere, instead of taking it to Shiele side, the other side of the town, to radiate whatever is brought to Abeokuta from that transmission station to the other station. So what you now have, you have the two near each other and the whole city. So if you live far away in Bodeolude or Shiele, before power gets to you, it's almost finished.
Okay,
so
exactly.
That's why you will not have light
in
Ashero, in Obantoko, in Bonogun.
And even, maybe this is where you have what they, aka low current.
Yes.
Maybe that's what's one of the explanations of low current.
Yes.
Adeniji in the UK. Good morning, sir.
Chief Yori. Good morning, sir.
Mr. Adeniji.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. I just want to speak to your guest.
Sure.
This Prince Adeniji.
Oh, Prince Adeniji. Okay.
Yes,
okay, Prince. Talk to High Chief. Let the Prince talk to the High Chief.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Carry on, please.
So, all right, sir. We listened to all your comment. We listened to everything that you have said. But my question to you, sir, is this: whose responsibility is to distribute meter? Because I can hear from you, you said we charge people for giving them meter. If you charge me for giving me meter, who owns that meter? If I pay for a meter, who owns the meter? And of course, you still have to charge me for using the electricity. So can we just balance this and stop reaping people's money? Can you be sincere to ourselves and to our country? Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Prince Adeniji. It's an interesting question. And who owns the meter?
Thank you very much, Prince Adeniji. And I know I can understand how he feels. I haven't lived in the same UK for 26 years, and I had meter in my house. And the meter belonged to the LCC company.
Okay, but you didn't buy it. You didn't pay for it.
We didn't pay for it.
Okay.
They installed it free.
So it's theirs.
Okay.
It's clear.
The issue with the current policy on MAP is an issue that was brought in by our regulator, by the federal government, through our regulator to bridge the metering gap. So in Nigeria, you see policy changing, and it changes from time to time. What we had before was what we call CAPME, whereby You pay for a meter, and every time you buy credit, you get your money back. Every time you vend, they give you credit to return that money. You get a refund with time. This one is a new concept brought by the regulator. All I know is that for us as operators, as distributors, we have to work with those companies that were sent to us to install meters. And we have to follow everything that regulation is law.
Yeah, but this flip-flop,
So
this policy
that. So that
flip-flop
question,
end up messing the consumer
that
up.
question should go to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, our regulator.
Okay.
Reverend, I don't want to make controversial statements. We have had issues with both the regulator and the then Honorable Minister for Power, especially on
who has been accused of being soft on you
policy,
guys.
He was never soft on us. Mr. Fashola was not soft on us. If anything, at a point, Mr. Fashola was very unfair on us. Because you cannot be using some soft targets to be making them feel like the bad guys in the market. We are market participants.
One moment. I don't want to keep Reverend Dominic, who is also on the line in our labor shop, waiting. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning, High Chief.
Good morning, sir.
Most of us who have followed you for too long, you are very detailed in your explanation.
Thank you, sir.
And to me, you have good understanding of that system. But I want to ask you one simple question, sir, and I want you to give me a sincere answer.
Yes, sir.
If Nigeria is found in 1999, Nigeria as a nation is a jungle bush or a desert, and it was founded in 1999. Till today, how many megawatts do we supposed to generate? If Nigeria was founded in 1999, there was a bush, it's a desert, and we begin to develop it. Till now, how many megawatts do we supposed to generate? This is my question to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
If Nigeria was founded in 1999 from a bush, new country, as of today in 2019, 20 years later, we should have minimum of 20,000 megawatts. Our failure to get to that point is what I'm talking about. Regulatory inconsistencies, government policy that changes anyhow, one minister come, rubbish whatever the previous minister did. Some people are in government to take care of themselves, not just power ministry, everywhere. Civil servants, top one, are also involved. So it's a Nigerian thing. What I'm saying is that let us put Nigeria first. Let us love this country. Let us work passionately for this country. Nigeria is not supposed to be celebrating 8,000. It's like celebrating failure. So I agree with the caller that as of today, we should be having minimum of 20,000, if not 30,000 megawatts. Because it is possible. Go and look at other countries. In fact, some countries in Africa, the way they increase their, and the cost of doing business in those countries, it's embarrassing when you look at how much Ethiopia spent on a hydro power plant and how much Nigeria is going to spend on Mambila Plateau. Even the Mambila is like a bush waiting to be explored. Yet we have spent a lot of money since 1982 or so. Since Shagari regime. Until this government now tried to revive it.
Let me bring in Mazi Okoroa for Inarochuku. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, Mr. Sunday.
Good morning, Mazi. Good morning, sir.
It's a pleasure, sir. Nigerians need power to move forward. Nigeria needs power to progress economically. But today, because of constant vandalism by the so-called the vandals or the criminals, with connivance, the energy has stopped because nobody will go and vandalize anything without connivance of somebody.
That is true.
Now, my question I want to find out from you is that we are talking about power. Why is it that the meter we use today, 80% of the meters are substandard meters? What do I mean? Because you fix a meter before you talk geographic, you start running as if you are just swimming inside the swimming pool. Why is this so? And secondly, it's method here is people normally come is not healthy. Somebody will contribute money and buy transformer, but they will tell us that they don't contribute. But community contribute money and buy transformer. You will come to the two-month agreement that you don't pay the bill for 6 months. By the time you saw that, people start the powerhouse start correction, which is very, very healthy. It's not healthy for us in the community.
Okay, Mazi, I've got to interrupt you. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry to do so, but we've got to go on the almighty commercial break. Thank you very much for calling in, Mazi. We'll go on a commercial break, and we will use the opportunity to switch over to Abuja. But please continue to call in. You can continue to use the phone. Call in the comments and the questions, and when the repeat broadcast of the program goes out, as it does every day at 12 midnight, it will be a full program. Okay, welcome back, and we have with us still High Chief Sunday Oduton, who is the Executive Director of Research and Advocacy, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, and we're looking at what the problem is with the question of power supply, and also, by the way, I need to thank you calling in. Right now we have Olawale. Mr. Olawale is calling in from Agbara. Even though you might not be seeing us, thank you for calling in. All of this will be in the full broadcast, which will be at the rebroadcast, I beg your pardon, the repeat broadcast at 12 midnight. Good morning, Mr. Olawale, and thank you for holding on.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning, sir. Please continue.
Yeah, please. Good morning, Mr. Your Chief.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Chief.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for your advice. Oh, Mr., I want to comment on your view that prepaid meter will start be distributing from that time, and it will be cost 37,000 naira. And now again, you are saying that it's free. Then I follow what you said that time. I applied since that May 1 up to now. They have not been giving me my meter.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I should call and confirm, because your talk now is like it's contradict each other.
Okay.
So thank you, sir.
Indeed, thank you very much. And I can identify particularly, Mr. Olawale, with the point that you bring up. And I'm sure Sunday also, can identify with it.
Distribution of meters, when we started, was meant to be free. And we were given numbers that we should do over 5 years. And we did it up to 88%. And we're still doing it to finish that obligation. But the government itself realized something that failed, which is the issue of pricing I was talking about. Because the tariff that was fixed by the regulator has component for a lot of things. Capital expenditure, all those things that we need to do. But you now find out that the tariff that they come up with is far, far, far lower than what it should be. So that makes it difficult for any investor to put money. You can't even borrow money from the bank. They won't lend you money because your books are encumbered. That is the problem that this course had. So the government now came up with a program to bridge the metering gap, to stop estimated billing, to reduce all those incidents of all those arguments about estimated billing. They now say, okay, we'll get external contractors, external investors, other people to bring their money, invest in meters, bring it and install meters for our customer through the discos. That is MAP, Meter Asset Provider. And I'm sorry, that one has to be paid for because those people are investors as well. The money is not going to the discos.
But people have paid for meters.
No, those who paid.
And have not got these meters.
No.
Is the point that Mr. Lawale was making.
Those who have paid in the past and with their receipt have a right to get their meter free of charge. If it means the disco paying the installer, they will do that. They must do that. It's not free of charge
to the consumer because he
pays. No.
I understand what you do without paying again.
No, you don't have to pay again. What I'm saying is that if you have paid before, you have a right for your meter to be installed.
Exactly, and so free of charge doesn't come into it because Mr. Lawley won't appreciate the free of charge part.
I'm saying that you don't have to pay the second time.
You can just show your receipt.
Yes.
Let me bring in Mr. Fayemi in Apapa. Good morning, Mr. Fayemi.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah. Concerning metering.
Yes.
We are having problems with metering at the Geographic, right? And the people, the EKDC people, they are sometimes was electricity for over 9 months, and they continue bringing in this process bills.
Mm-hmm.
And they are forcing us to pay all these process bills. And the meters were said to be given to us. But now there is a change of policy, which I don't even know how it came about. They are now saying that we should pay 39,000 before we can update the meter. We don't really understand all this kind of
Okay. Mr. Fayemi, I understand you, and we'll let Sunday look at it again. Although he's been doing that, inter alia, explaining it in and out. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. But the other thing is that Transmission Company of Nigeria has accused Discos of being responsible for the fire at the TCN station in Benin. How did this whole matter, how did that kind of an accusation come about?
Well, it is part of an attempt by someone who leads Transmission Company of Nigeria, the MD, an attempt at covering up their inefficiencies and ineptitude. It is an attempt. There's
a problem now. You guys in the value chain don't even see eye to eye.
Exactly. We said there's a need for collaboration, cooperation, and alignment of the value chain. If there's no collaboration and there's no cooperation, and all we do is blame game, so this one will blame the other one, then what you find is what we are seeing, which is that there won't be improvement in the sector.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very unfortunate that we seem in this country sometimes to get round peg in square holes and vice versa. And then the moment that happens, whoever is the individual will never know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it.
So the fire...
What happened there was that they did not have enough protection for their equipment.
Okay.
So on both sides, both the Discos and the transmission company, you need to have certain level of protection.
Yeah.
Even in our household,
we
have fuse. So if a surge or something is coming, or they breach something, or anything happens, it will stop it. Again, they even attributed that to something was hot, this, that. The problem with TC, and I've said that earlier, is that the Transmission Company of Nigeria lack capacity to willpower to all parts of the country.
Okay.
They operate blindly.
I don't want to risk
They operate without seeing anything.
Sorry, sir. I don't want to risk keeping Abdul Rashid in Kotangora waiting much longer. Good morning, Abdul Rashid.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you.
Please.
I'm happy for your program.
Thank you.
About the power.
Yes. Please go on. Abdul Rashid. Oh dear, I think we've lost that call. Abdul Rashid in Kotangura. I guess the call dropped. Oh dear.
Can I quickly respond to Mazi?
Mazi Okorafo.
Yes,
remember which aspect?
Who called in from? Meters running fast. I just want to correct the notion.
Okay.
That there's nothing like meters running fast.
Anymore.
Yeah, these are computerized, these are electronic devices. Rather, what I would say, if you think your meter is running too fast, please go and complain to the Disco. And let them show you how come you vent 5,000. You have light for maybe 10 hours throughout the month, and then you say, the 5,000 are finished within 2 weeks or what? They can explain it to you, including the devices you use at home.
Okay.
If you have iron, you have boiling ring, you have air conditioner.
All these heavy consumption
all those
materials.
things consume a lot. And the meters are already programmed for the tariff of your class. So residential in most cases are R2. There's a fixed price for that. And will be deducting particular on that price.
I wonder what made you remember that, because we were talking about something else, but you just said, look, I remember Maazi Okorafor in Arochukwu, and I wanted to address that issue. Okay, while we're at it, Joshua, Mr. Joshua calling in from Irewalide, good morning.
Hey, Uncle Yori, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Your guest.
Yes.
I mean, his level of intelligence and understanding of the subject is quite interesting. We appreciate him.
Thank you, sir.
I believe this country is going to work. We will get to a point where we will have no choice than to make it work. And the framework for making it work, I think they have been out already. I want your guests to please work with an understanding mind. I don't know if Fashola will come back to power, but whichever minister comes back, to agree to work together so that we have an institution that will address this power problem once and for all. He has much of mistakes that are within the system. But if we have an institution that is able to tackle these problems, it's not something that will be done just in a different process. So when we institutionalize it, and the process is ongoing, then we can have phases. This is what we do at this time. This is what we do in another 5 years. So that we're growing the progress along the path of the progress we ought to make.
Sure.
Presently, I must commend them because, like you said, in my area, we have had tremendous improvement in power supply. It's amazing. But I just pray...
That's the Irewale...
yes. The of Ogun State along Lagos-Ibadan Express. It's been quite an improvement lately, and we should appreciate them for that. And we just hope we can sustain all these narratives. But let it be that whatever they are doing right, let it be institutionalized.
Okay.
That's how we can go from there.
Thank you very much for calling in, Joshua. Well, first of all, clearly, according to the explanation you gave earlier, Joshua is in what I call fortunate or lucky part of the chain. So, he's saying that, let us say it like it is, it's been better. So, but anybody who is further down the line, for now, there's nothing we can do about it. He just has his own land in an unfortunate place. And that's a problem.
First, I want to thank the caller.
Okay.
That's the kind of Nigerian that we
That
want
is
to see.
Joshua.
Mr. Joshua is the kind of Nigerian that we desire in this country, patriotic Nigerians. My own appeal to whoever becomes the next Minister for Power, now that they're screening them, whether it is Mr. Fashola who was there before or a new person, we should not do gra-gra with power. We should do collaborative efforts. We should come together. We should not do like apartheid, where you segregate. You should treat generation, transmission, distribution companies equally with consistency in policy and regulation.
You're actually hinting there at some of the challenges that are being confronted between transmission.
The major problem we had in the last 4 years, it is not as if whether the government as a body, as an institution, or the Federal Minister of Power, or the regulators, or the minister as a person. It's not as if they have not tried at all. But the moment some individuals play God in any society, we should allow institutions to work. We should take decisions in a collaborative way. We should not do things like we and them. We have had occasions before when some of us were sent out of a meeting by the Honorable Minister for Power. That's
For being too militant or what?
We are not militant. We did an advertisement reminding government that they were owing, the MDAs, Ministry Department and agents were owing, and they were not paying. Why should Ikeja Cantonment not be paying for electricity that they consume and other formations all over the country? We did that advertisement, went to a meeting with the minister in Sokoto. We've done like 10 before then. Single-handedly, he just said we should leave. Mr. Odunton and his people should leave, that we're embarrassing government by publishing facts. Hey, Joe, please pay your debt. That's what we said. And that's what we did. And we've done internal requests for payment that was not honored. That should not continue. If you send your child, if you send your son, okay, if you have
matters improved since then?
If you have six,
have
no,
matters
it never
improved
did.
since then?
Never.
Oh dear.
Never.
Oh dear.
They see ANE is an umbrella body of the discourse. By law, by convention. If you go to the UK, you have Energy UK. We have a similar body in the US and Canada. Just like the Nigerian Bar Association, to which I belong as a lawyer, people have a right to come together as long as they are not doing something illegal and they are duly registered. And what they are doing is to enlighten people, advocate on issues to do with them, and protect their interests. You can have discussion with them. Foreign companies do come here and have discussion with ANED, but the then ministry will have nothing to do with us.
ANED being the
including
association,
the regulator.
ANED being the Association of Nigerian Electricity
Distributors, 11 companies.
Yes.
Now 10 because the other one is now in government hand, Yola. The point I'm making is that working together will help Nigeria. If you have 4 children, Uncle Yori, and maybe 1 by a mistress, I'm just trying to use Yoruba proverb now. You now send that son out, and you are feeding the other ones, the other 3. So that one that you sent out, you are making him to throw stone back into your house.
This
It's
is
your
the kind
son.
of thing that you think is going on.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
analogy.
What is going
But
on?
you see, this is a
it's
problem.
whereby some
But
people,
this is a big problem.
see the discourse as their enemies. Even some mischievous people would say, even outside the sector, they will say, oh, those who sold, they sold to their party. Me, I don't know about that. I'm not an investor in any disco.
But according to your analogy,
my point,
the proverbial, you know, in the analogy,
yes.
Is those that have now been asked to leave, maybe by the minister losing his cool a bit, are those people now throwing stones back inside?
They are not, because they cannot throw stone on their investment. That's why I said earlier on that when you use $1.4 billion to buy anything, you cannot buy a property, you want to let it out, and you want to go there and destroy the property. You cannot. So what I'm saying is that there's a need for everybody in the sector to work together. It should not be like headmaster and school people's relationship.
Okay.
You cannot take me on the track, and then you tie my legs and you blow the whistle and say I should begin to run.
Okay.
I cannot run.
Okay.
And you cannot padlock my mouth and you're asking me to sing hallelujah. You cannot sing hallelujah with your mouth in padlock.
Oh dear.
It is about
You're talking about a lot of issues here, and I think people can read between the lines
Yes.
that it's not all easy, it's not all rosy. In fact,
Not at all.
the ground is not level at all.
Not
and
at
this
all.
is one of the problems between
A regulator should
generation,
be independent.
transmission,
A
and
regulator should
distribution.
be fair. A regulator should deal with all the stakeholders equally in an equitable way for the progress of Nigeria.
Which you are saying you
The
have
moment
not seen yet.
a regulator is
You're
looking at one
suggesting
with
that
one
you're
kind
not
eye.
seeing that even-handedness yet.
No.
Okay, Dapo Olukoya in Ilorin. Good morning, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. I was watching before you switched over to Abuja.
Okay. Thank you.
But I don't know. I have a question, but I don't know if that question has been asked while the.
Go ahead with your question.
Switched over to Abuja.
Go ahead with your question.
Okay, it's about this estimated billing issue.
Okay, estimated billing.
Yes.
Yes, continue.
I've been listening to the IQ things. I love his articulation and it's so eloquent.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask about this estimated billing issue because the stories we hear from their staff is that when in a certain area, if there are people that are stealing power, maybe they are illegal connections, and there are several that are not stealing power, they are paying the bill right promptly. that why we get estimated billing is that those who steal power, the cost of the power they are stealing is to those that are paying their bill promptly. You think so? I wanted to confirm this. And if he confirms that it is so, why should it be so?
Okay.
It's very, very unfair on those of us that pay promptly to be paying for those who are paying. Is it our duty to watch, to check for them, to apprehend those who steal power? It's part of what we are supposed to do as consumers that are paying properly. So that is let him respond to that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lukoya in Ilorin.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Lukoya. I appreciate your point. No disco, and I can confirm that authoritatively, no disco will ever deliberately, I'm saying deliberately, put a thief's bill on that of an innocent neighbor. No. But I think what they were saying, I will just try to explain it with another analogy. If in an area, Mr. Lukoya's area, in his estate or on his street, if on a transformer there are 20 of them that are on our book that we know, and they are using one transformer, but unknown to us, one Fatai, the welder, is illegally connected to that transformer. One Alaji or one hotelier had bypassed most of his air conditioners. It's known to us,
and
but it has a prepaid
these
meter.
happen.
A lot.
All
over the country.
These people have,
so
these things happen.
if on that transformer, officially what we know, what we see is 20 people, including Mr. Lukoya, and they have no meters. They have to be estimated, and the estimation has to be in line with the guideline given to us by a regulator. But you see, let me confirm that estimated billing are never 100% accurate.
And
that is why the answer is metering.
They can never be
which
100%
is what map.
accurate. They're always more than, as far as the consumer is concerned, much
so
punitively
why
more.
They are more, not necessarily punitive, why they are more is that if on our book we only know about 20 customers, but there are another 20 illegally connected that we don't know. So what we do is that we meter the transformer. So the energy that came out of that transformer in that month, we share it among
the people that
20
are not
because we don't know.
That are not metered.
And that's why we're saying when you see something, say something. So in other countries, people help to combat crime.
What you've just said in part explains the crazy bill phenomenon.
Yes, that's part of the reason.
So
in the case of those bills that are crazy, not all bills are crazy, but in the case of those that are crazy, that part explains it. And some people have meters. They bypass their meters. They now connect maybe their air conditioner direct. So when you look at that house, you see Mr. Odunton's house, it looks like he has a meter. You don't go there. It's vending. Whereas his neighbor is paying for his AC. But if we know, we bust it, and we do that
and his
every
neighbor
day.
is paying for his AC by what you explained, that we meter the transmitter, the transformer.
Yes.
And then we just...
In Abuja, some of our transport people in Abuja Disco still went to an estate within Abuja last week. Only yesterday, task force from Ibadan Disco were in Obadaoko, and we were able to apprehend a lot of people doing that. The other time, we did the same thing in Ikeja. Disco did the same thing in Ikeja. GRA, that is where the rich and the mighty live. Yet we saw people there, rich people, bypassing their meters. And so it's something that goes across the society. Oh dear. Nigerians are not always willing to pay for utilities. And they're not used to
It's criminal.
Paying.
It's stealing. Isn't it?
They don't see it like that.
But technically...
That's the problem. It is.
It
is.
In fact,
and when we arrest...
Technically, actually...
When we report and hand over to the police... You go back there 2 days, 3 days later.
They sorted themselves out.
They don't take them to court, and that's the end of the matter.
Rotimi in Egbeda, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I actually have a question for my daddy there.
Sure.
Mr. Ozunton.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I live in Egbeda, and I've been living in this house for the past 3 years.
Okay.
So every month I get 15,000 on my NEPA bill. And in the house I'm living, there is no meter there. So I've been going to NEPA severally to resolve this issue. But my effort, I mean, I was unable to get a cogent response from them. So I'm about to pack out of the house now. The landlord had to use police to arrest me. I have to pay the outstanding
the outstanding on the bill.
On the bill. which we have been dragging in the police station for the past 1 week now. So, and I told the landlord that this is not the bill I accumulated. I met the condition like this there, and it is the responsibility of you to have gone and get a prepaid for the apartment. So please, sir, if there is any way my daddy can help me to resolve this matter,
okay,
I would gladly.
Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. Sunday, let me just add one question that I wanted to ask because we're running out of time, so you can just couple it. Also, the whole matter of discos allegedly rejecting loads by transmission company. Maybe please connect those two.
The issue of load rejection is non-existent.
But TCM says that you do that.
If I'm distributing a product, in this case electricity, but it could have been bread too. If I have 1,000 people that need a loaf of bread, that's 1,000 loaves of bread. But all the bakery can produce at a time is only 500.
Okay, so please go on to the other one because 30 seconds left.
Okay, so
so you're saying
the
no,
truth is that
you reject that
it
allegation.
is load dumping that they are doing. They are dumping load where it's not required, and that's what they do. It's load dumping,
and that's where the
not load
is.
rejection.
Okay.
The gentleman, I think the matter can be resolved easily at Ikeja Electric. I would suggest that you should come to Abafan way here and ask for their customer service center. Bring all your bills and evidence of your previous payment and what you met. They will check their system. The computer will show everything. And I think the matter will be resolved. We are very keen to resolve such issues.
Okay, Sunday, I want to thank you very much
for
coming on the program
and
airing some of these issues. So we've been speaking with High Chief Sunday Oduton, Executive Director of Research and Advocacy, that is of ANED, that is Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors. Well, we just wish ourselves luck. First of all, you've explained that there's bad luck in some people's situation where they happen to be situated. They will forever be getting, low current. Yes. But that's our program today. Please join us on Monday for the next edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Do have a great weekend.